Good morning, I'm Rebecca, and welcome to my sewing room. Today, we are going to be making a dress. I found this book, which I absolutely fell in love with. It says that there are full-size patterns in here. The patterns are basic blocks. You have a front bodice block, you have a back bodice block, back skirt block, front skirt block, and a basic sleeve block. This book teaches you how to correctly measure yourself, where to measure, how to add ease, how to add seam allowance. So you are doing a pattern drafting for your own body. But you can't only just make one dress from these patterns. There are so many options that the book teaches you. Multiple necklines, multiple sleeve options, multiple skirt options that the book teaches you, but then it also gives you a little bit of advanced pattern making to add some of your own originality to it. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I already have my basic blocks patterned to my own size, but the skirt that I'm making is not, it actually doesn't need a pattern. I'm making a gathered skirt, so I already took the measurements for my skirt. I have to cut out 2 back skirt pieces. Each of those will be 27 inches with the seam allowance, and then the one front piece will be 25 inches with the seam allowance. And then I'll just gather those and attach it to the bodice. However, this is my front bodice pattern piece. It literally goes, the neckline goes all the way up here, and same with the back neckline. Well, I'm not going to do that. Today, I would like to make a V-neck dress. So I actually already have it all measured out. So all I have to do is retrace this pattern piece with the new neckline front and back, because I want to do a V-neck in the front and the back so it matches. So that's what we'll do. First, we're going to pattern our front and back bodice with the new neckline. And so I will see you once I am finished with that. I am all ready with my pattern pieces with the V neckline on the front, on the back, and I also made the pattern piece for a butterfly sleeve. I used my measurements from the armhole of the front and back bodice pieces, and then I mathematically figured out the circumference, and then I kind of just drew the rest of the sleeve around it according to the directions in that book, because the butterfly sleeve was one of my options. So now I am down to pinning and cutting my fabric, but since I literally only have to cut out rectangles for my skirt. So all I have done is I folded my fabric in half at the 26-inch length that I need for my 2 back pieces. And I will then go ahead and cut that out, and then I'll cut out a 25-inch piece for my front piece, and I only need 1 of those. So I've doubled up my fabric for the back. I will measure the skirt for the front once I'm done with this, and then I will I'll pin and cut the bodice, front and back, and 2 sleeves. So I will be back with my pattern pieces once they're all cut out. I have all of my pattern pieces cut out. I also have all of the, as you would for any normal pattern, all of the darts marked on my front and back bodice. So I'm going to go ahead and get started sewing. I have a light sketch out of every step that I have to do to make this dress. So I'm going to start with the bodice. I'm going to do the darts, the neckline, the sleeves, and then the side seams. And then I will move on to the skirt, where we gather the waist. I also decided I wanted to add pockets to this dress, so I have those out. That'll be the second step, because I also want to baste those to the waistline so that they're held up not just by the side seams but also the waistline of the dress. And then we will move on and turn it into from a bodice and a skirt to a dress after that. So let's go ahead and I will pin the darts and sew those darts, and then we'll be back. I found this beautiful blue and purple fabric at JoAnn's, and I absolutely fell in love with it, but I couldn't decide on what color thread I would really want. So based on just the way the pattern is for the bodice, the neckline, and the hem of the sleeves, I will be using this blue, but then the hem of the skirt will be in purple, because the hem of the skirt is actually mostly this light blue and purple stripe, and I think the purple will look the best with that. But the majority of the neckline and the ends of the sleeves are this blue, and so the blue will look best with that. So that's how we're going to do that dress this time. So all of my darts are pinned and ready to go. So let's go ahead and I will get my sewing machine thread in there, my bobbin loaded, and we will get sewing the darts. So when you sew darts into a dress, you want to keep some long tails on here, because we don't back stitch our darts. It makes the fabric fold, so we have to tie the ends to keep the ends secure. So we'll do that to all 6 darts on our dress, and then we have to go press our darts to either the side or the center. The rule in this book is let me think. What is the rule? Now I can't remember what the rule is for this book and where you press your darts. The front darts get pressed out, the back darts get pressed to the center. That's what it is. So we'll press all of my darts once we are done securing them. And then I think the next step is the sleeve. But I'm going to have to check my list that I wrote out for my step-by-step put together this dress instructions. 2 more knots I have to make. 4 darts on the front bodice, 1 dart on each of the back pieces, because the back, I decided to have a back zipper, so the back is cut into 2 pieces. With this dress, you can also decide to have a side zipper, which sometimes I like because you can't see it. Other people can't see that zipper. But I've never installed a back zipper, and I've also never done pockets, and I've never kind of self-drafted my own patterns. So I'm doing quite a bit of firsts in this dress, and so I figured I would limit myself to a zipper that I know. So got all the knots done, time to go and iron. my next step is the neckline. So all I actually want to do is a rolled hem on all of my hems because I kind of like that right now, and this is not supposed to be too dressy of a dress that I'm making. So I do kind of want you to be able to see that hem. I like that style. So the first thing I need to do is find my oh, there it is. Found it. Okay, so I will be, I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I will be ironing my neckline 1/4 inch, and then I will fold it over again 1/4 inch and iron that and then stitch it. So let's go ahead and get going. Time to do the hem or the neckline on the back bodice as well. Same thing, 1/4 inch and then roll 1/4 inch. So my next step, now that I have my neckline all pinned, is to sew it, top stitch it basically. But after I do that, I also am supposed to attach the sleeves. So before I attach the sleeves, I also have to hem those sleeves just because of the kind that they are. So we're going to go ahead and iron and pin that hem before we move back over to the sewing machine. We will now sew the neckline, and then we will hem the sleeves, and then after hemming the sleeves, the next step is to sew the shoulder seams, attach the sleeves, and then sew the side seams of the dress. I actually made a mistake. The next thing is not hemming the neckline. It is pinning and sewing the shoulder seams and then the next neckline. So I'm going to just take out the ends of the neckline, sew the shoulder seams, and then do the neckline. That's okay, no problem. Let's go. Now I'll fix the hem on that neckline and then we can sew it. I did go back and I pressed open the shoulder seams of the dress, and then I re-ironed the seam there for the neckline, and it should be much cleaner and easier to sew. Now I have to hem my sleeves, and then we will attach the sleeves to the bodice. The final step in my bodice is to sew the side seams together. So I'm going to go ahead and pin and sew those seams, and then we will be done for the day because I have to make dinner and go to a softball game. All right, we're making the skirt to the dress today, and I've decided to add pockets to the skirt. So that's the first thing I have to do is sew in the pockets. That's another thing I haven't done. So I'm gonna do the best I can. So far I have the pockets stitched to the skirt, but my next step is to understitch the pockets and then stitch the pockets and the side seams together, I think. Let me double check. Yes, understitch the pocket and then match front skirt to back skirt at side seams, and sew the side seams around the pockets. So we'll go ahead and try that. Side seam and pocket is pinned together, so we will go ahead and sew that. The skirt pieces are all constructed. Oh no. Oh no, that's right. That's right, that's the pocket. Anyways, skirt pieces are all constructed. But I chose to make a gathered skirt for this dress, so the next step is to lengthen my stitch and sew in two rows of gathering stitches so I can gather that up, and then we will pin that to the bodice and should have a dress. So let's get going. Also, since I have the pockets quite up high, so I have to make sure that I do not gather them into my gathering stitches so that I can just tack those to the waistband when we put the dress together, so that the waistband will hold some of the weight of the pockets instead of just the side seams. So, turns out I made a big, fat, stupid mistake in cutting my pattern. Not really cutting it. I doubled the width for my back panels for the skirt, which is correct in a gathered skirt, and I forgot to double the width of the front panel. So I found that out when I was gathering and pinning the center front skirt to the bodice front. So I'll be taking out my gathering stitches, slitting the center panel down the middle and inserting another 25-inch piece in the front of the skirt. But the seams should be blended in okay because of the gathering. I would take just the side seams apart and add it on the side, but so we just have one seam down the front of the skirt, but I have the pockets in there, and that's a lot of extra work that I don't want to take out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my gathering undone and cut and piece the skirt back together, and we'll be back. So I finally have the front panel fixed. I sewed the front panel in the middle, like I cut the center panel in half and sewed the new one in the middle. I pretty much lined up those seams with the waist darts on the bodice, so that should look okay. I have it all gathered and pinned to the bodice, and now my next step is to stitch the skirt to the bodice and make it into the dress. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will be back once that's finished. The next step is to add the zipper to the back seam of the dress. So I have the back seam zipped all the way up until just above where the zipper is going to start. And I do already have my zipper pinned in to my seam, ready to sew using my concealed zipper foot, and actually for the first time trying a concealed zipper. So we're gonna see how, like an actual concealed zipper. I've used invisible zippers, but I've never put them in right. So we're gonna see how that goes, and hopefully I will do that okay, because I have a V neckline in the front and the back. I got a 12X, accidentally got a 12 to 14 inch zipper and decided to use the V neckline in the back, so that is the correct length for what I have. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll be back once it's done. The dress is almost complete. The invisible zipper is concealed quite excitingly. I've never done that before, so I'm pretty proud of myself. And the final thing is to hem it. So I will be pressing up and doing a rolled hem at the bottom of the dress. And I will be back with the final look when I'm done.